All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. For those of you who may not be necessarily new to the program, you guys are familiar with that intro from my podcast days when I did 200 or so episodes, strictly audio. Welcome to everybody that's new on YouTube as we launched this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. We've only done maybe a handful of episodes, so we're still starting fresh. So with that in mind, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, because obviously it helps the channel as we grow the platform together. Matt being as optimistic as possible there, showing Eagles thing right at the top. It was a rough game Monday night. You guys heard from me already. Go back one podcast. You'll get my take on the game. But we got Matt here with us. And Matt, I'm going to open up the program with your opening thoughts on
Let me just start
tonight.
by saying I can't imagine, like, when you're hearing from Geoff and his absolute instant response to things that happen, it's very palpable, very visceral, right? So I'm curious to actually hear your thoughts 3 days later after that. And I'm sure the fans would be interesting too to hear a cooled down Geoff. But I don't know. Overall, we knew this was going to be a tough game anyways, right? We thought the Eagles would have played well against Kirk Cousins. He always seems to have difficult games versus the Eagles, but none of that seemed true. I was surprised actually by how statuesque Kirk Cousins is responding from that Achilles tendon injury that he had. And then what's scary is, okay, the Eagles had zero pressure on him the whole night, except for the one sack by Milton Williams, right? So
Williams.
That was frightening to me. But you can't leave Kirk, no matter at what point of the game or how the game's going. You cannot just allow him to sit back there and toss. And I think overall the Eagles got scared to blitz him on defense, because the one time they blitzed, they got burnt on that 1st and 10. I think it was a 1st and 10 play. They blitzed on the pass to Mooney, and if Gardner Johnson hadn't stopped coverage on the route, we would have been fine with that. And then they never blitzed him again, it seemed, and they certainly needed to blitz him.
Bad tackle.
Yeah, and they certainly needed to blitz him in that last minute and 40 seconds. So, overall, I'm not even going to say it was a bad play call by Sirianni, because honestly, if the best back in the game catches that pass, the play would have worked. Like, it's not a bad play call there. That, though, is also in, the counterpoint to that would be, well, you're not playing. There's two views on this, right? You win the game if Barkley catches that pass, it's over. No more thinking about it. It's done. But you also, if you just
nobody's talking about it.
But you also don't even have to kick a field goal there. If you just use 2 plays,
right,
two running plays, and even if you pushed it twice in a row, like, you're still killing 40 seconds, and then 25
more than likely getting a first down, and more than likely probably getting a first down.
Yeah. They probably would have gotten a first down no matter what type of running play they called, including the tush push. But even if you didn't, you would have left the Falcons at the 25, 30-yard line they were at. I just don't. I mean, even closer than that, right? They
probably would have been. No, they would have been
on the 15 or the 10.
No, if they didn't get a first down, it would have been at like this. No, they were like at the. Yeah, I guess they were like around the 10-yard line. So they would have had to go 90. Well, they wouldn't have had to go the full distance. Obviously, they only needed a field goal, but they still would have had to go maybe 50, say 40 yards, right, to get a decent attempt. They have a good kicker.
And what made it
so say they had to go 40 yards, but they would have had like 20 seconds.
Yeah, and what made it strange for everybody, and here's why I think it felt weird for a lot of people, they declined that penalty, right? Remember the offsides penalty? They declined that penalty to ensure that they would have had the Falcons use a timeout. So they were thinking, okay, run down the clock. So they're making all the right decisions, but then they decide to pass it on that down. I think it was probably a little bit of coaches trying to outsmart themselves, when really you paid the best back in the game to run the ball behind one of the best offensive lines. So I think that's what got most Eagles fans frustrated, was why didn't we run that? That's where their frustration lies.
Yeah.
Where the fear lies is, oh my God, this defense has no pass rush. like zero pass ruch.
I went like this during the Monday night post game. Zero.
100%. Right. So,
and when was the last time, real quick, Matt? When was the last time you said that about an Eagles defensive line? I can't remember. Honestly, maybe it was a year or two under Ray Rhodes. Certainly not under Buddy Ryan. I don't remember when they didn't have at least one bona fide pass rusher.
No, and I'm not.
Fuller, whether it's Hugh Douglas, they always had at least one guy, most of the time, two guys.
Look, even Mike Mamula got pressure, right? He didn't get sacks, but even Mike Mamula got pressure. Right now, Bryce Huff has 0 pressures after 2 games. And pressures.
He's wearing perfect, just real quick, he's wearing the perfect number. 0.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
I wish that was how much money we paid him at this point, but no, his number is 51 if we go by the dollars, 51 million, right? So that's frightening, right? So that's the part that the Eagles fans are like, whoa, wait a minute. And then on top of that is, what the heck is Darius Slay doing on the touchdown pass? Like, I
heard, I don't know if you heard the post game, but not that I'm making excuses, and he wasn't making excuses. He's like, dude, it's on me. He's like, I'm a cerebral player. He goes, I was reading, quick slant over the middle. And he goes, he said he screwed it up. But, we're paying this guy $1 zillion not to make those mistakes.
And you're not reading anything. You're anticipating that maybe that play happens, but
you should be
that ball gets snapped. You should be reading what's happening, and it's not the slant; it's the out right across the goal line. Which
he was reading post. He said he was playing post, thinking he was going post, and he went out, and that one stutter step difference, he was wide open.
That was sad. So all of this stuff. So I'm kind of going over what the fans are probably feeling. But if we go back to what we've said on the show, and certainly I'm a believer of it, I still think we don't know what these teams are until October. So do I think the defense is as piss poor as it's looked? I don't really think so. But at the same time, you're looking for – I've been watching Nolan Smith, right? Huff, I don't really care about. We didn't draft him. How he may have missed on that free agent signing, but Nolan Smith has been just as unproductive, and that's frightening.
Yeah.
And Jordan Davis is fading away. I don't even think Jordan Davis played a snap in the second half. I never saw him. What we did see, and we'll talk about this later.
I tell you what, I know we were texting back and forth during the game. Booker was in there, and this was a stat. Ruben Frank came out with these great end stats. There's a couple of stats from him I want to share with you. One, Booker played 9 snaps, and he led the Eagles in tackles and tackle for loss. Think about that.
An impact player, right? He's an impact player.
Well, when I say led the Eagles, I mean on the line. He led the defensive line in tackles and tackles for loss in that game, and he played 9 snaps.
9 snaps. And here's the deal. People that don't know me and you very well, Mike, I hate having to cede credit over to you for things that are right, but you definitely had your eye on Booker all the way through preseason. I didn't even know his name. And you brought him up a couple shows ago, and you're like, hey, have you seen Booker? And I'm like, no, I haven't. I've only watched a little bit of that Ravens preseason game. But that dude, what I think me and you have a good eye for is people that when they're unknowns, you can tell the game is not too big for them, and they make an impact. And that guy is definitely an impact player. And I think he pretty much washed Jordan out of a job in the second half last night.
He might. Yeah, and they have to start playing him more because
I think they will.
9 plays, he made more of an impact than even Carter for the entire game. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as Carter. He's not that talented. We definitely need to see Carter pick his game up. I think Carter's starting to get double teamed now because they don't have to worry about
anybody.
About Jordan. I saw a couple plays where Jordan was being pushed back. Being pushed back. Now, this is a guy who's 300 pounds, pushed back. I'm like, see that weak?
Yeah, Jordan is clearly looking like he might be in the bust category. And they got to find somebody, right? So in order to help Carter, they're going to have to find somebody to step up on that pass rush on the edge and outside the middle. Otherwise, I think the defensive tackle is fine, right? If you've got
Williams.
If you got Williams.
Who could play tackle, obviously. He could play end. And you have Booker, who's shown he can certainly make penetration. Both guys are out playing Davis right now.
Davis. And if you have Carter, Booker, and Williams, that's pretty solid in the middle. But boy, are they missing Hassan Reddick right now. Like there's Nolan Smith he's not the answer so far.
And one thing about Reddick is he was a closer. He was a guy maybe who was shut down, or at least it wasn't making big impact sometimes. He was always good, don't get me wrong, but he was a closer. Like during that, last possession by Atlanta, have to go 70 yards in a minute and 40 seconds.
Yeah.
That's when Reddick would be making the sack, making the play. Yeah. They don't have an attack dog anymore in this offense or defense.
No, but you do have a lot of pieces in the middle and the secondary though. So I'm not sure why. I think they're going to learn a lot from this game, but if you don't have that edge rush,
I hope so.
Do you not, Seth Joyner said this on his program, how do you not pressure Kirk Cousins in that entire last minute and a half? There was no rush.
Right. You said he was a statue at the beginning of the show. You said he's a statue.
He's a statue.
Which he totally is.
How is it?
A statue before he tore his Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Now he's a super statue, and the Eagles got no pressure.
Right. So where's the corner blitz? Where's some of these other exotic type blitzes and stuff like that should have been happening? If you can't get the pass rush from the edge, send a corner, send a nickel back, go get him. Send C.J. Gardner, put in Cooper, right? And just say, rush the quarterback.
John.
Yeah, throw it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Safety will cover the guy coming out of the slot because guess what? It's going to be a short pass. What we needed was short passes or less. If we get a sack, fine. Great. Awesome. But if it's a short pass completion, great. Fine. The clock is running down. And that was weird to watch that happen. So I'm not sure. That one caught me off guard because I'm a big Vic Fangio fan. And I'm not sure he was prepared at all for that last drive. That was just weird to see them not be able to do anything. So
I was just going to say. There's two major things in my concern on that last drive real quick, Matt. So the one is kind of what you're getting at, the Vic Fangio, right? When you know that they need to get out of bounds, the first couple of plays, the Eagles weren't playing the sidelines, meaning forcing them to pass inside. They weren't doing that. That's when our rookie corner there, Mitchell, he got burnt on a couple of them, or at least he just blew the coverage. He didn't really get burnt, but he just wasn't where he was supposed to be. You got to be playing the sidelines there to force any plays that they're going to make if they're going to throw it down deep in bounds.
Right.
But there were two plays on that drive, I think, where they just caught it and ran out of bounds. So most times when you see people in prevent defense, and there's a couple different kinds of prevent defense, but the one the Eagles needed to do, because they had no timeouts, was to have the guys lined up. And you've seen it. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, playing the sidelines, leaving the middle completely open, letting him get those plays because they got to, the time's going to come off the clock.
Yeah.
Eagles didn't even do that during that last drive.
No.
So I'm like, what are you doing? Second thing is, which is the biggest concern, we've already been addressing it. That's the time when these defensive linemen know they don't have to worry about a run. They don't have to worry about play action.
No.
They get back and go after the quarterback, and they couldn't even sniff him.
They couldn't even sniff him. They couldn't even pressure him, and he couldn't move more than 3 yards in a second. So watching Kirk Cousins just kind of statuesquely move in the pocket to avoid a lineman getting close to him was ridiculously frustrating. Now, so that's the defense. I thought on offense, I still think what we talked about before, the Eagles offense can be unstoppable when they want it to be. And I thought Hurts played an excellent game. But here's the thing with Hurts. If it's we have to score a last-minute touchdown to win the game, I have zero confidence in Hurts. He had a timeout in his pocket, and he still just rushes this throw and gives the game away when all we needed was about 15 yards to get to a Jake Elliott 60-yard field goal. So
he did that during the second half of last year. He did that on some of those games where the Eagles trailed late.
100%.
Blew lead late. He do the same thing. Try to force it in triple coverage downfield. It's what are you doing? You don't need to do that, especially right then. It wasn't like there's 5 seconds left in the game where he had to just make some kind of hero type play. There's plenty of time to make 15 more yards down the field, call a timeout, bring Jake out, or maybe even run another play or two.
Yeah.
But to throw that far downfield for a guy who had 3 defenders around Smith,
stupid
was reckless.
Reckless because I think if we don't make the playoffs or if we lose a home field advantage type game, we'll be looking back at this week and saying, what the heck? At the same time, balance that with it's preseason. The team is still trying to figure itself out. But somebody had a good comment today. I forgot which broadcaster it was, but it may have been a local Philly guy. I can't remember, but he was saying, "Oh, you know who it was? It was on Good Morning Football. It was not Pete, but the other guy, not Pete Schlegel, but the other Eagles fan that runs that show." And he had said, he's like this. He had brought up a good point, and he said it's not 1-1, it's 2 and whatever their record was when they ended last season. And I'm like, oh, that's spot on. That is spot on because the reason why we lost this game. Yeah, the reason we lost this game is right in the same category as that. So that's kind of scary to hear.
It felt just like the Seattle loss, if you remember that one. It felt like the Arizona Cardinals loss.
Yep.
2 games that they had and then they blew. It felt exactly like that. And it's like this team needs to turn the page from that performance and that type of situational football, and they have not proven they can do that yet.
No, and I think I don't get as critical as Sirianni as other folks do, but I think that's one spot where you can be critical of him. Is he inspiring people to win those games, or is he cracking down? The one play that you shared on Facebook Messenger where he was yelling at his offensive lineman Malata for not reacting to the offsides from Matthew Judon. I'm like, he went off. Like, I'm like, you're totally crushing your offensive lineman here because you're saying he should have been more aware. And if I'm the O-line, I'm thinking, do not get an offsides penalty. Do not get a false start penalty. And it's so subjective with the refs and what they even toss a flag for these days. I'm like, how can Sirianni lose his mind on a player for a call like that? Like, that to me was total bullshit from Sirianni. Like, dude, back off.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point that you're bringing. What is the actual rule with that, though? Because to me, I've seen the refs throw the flag once the offensive lineman moves, because I do think it's something in the rule that says that a defensive lineman can't do like a flinch to make the offensive lineman flinch. That's against the rule. But I also think that the ref should still throw the flag if the guy runs into the neutral zone without the offensive lineman moving.
Right. And that's my whole point. It's subjective on the ref deciding which flag he's going to throw. So how do you crack on your lineman so hard? Like, he was swearing and walking.
Yeah, because the next time what'll happen is the guy will do a fake like that. Yeah, so to your point, the next time something can happen where now Sirianni's yelled at the line for that, and Mariota in particular. What if the next time the guy does make Mariota flinch and then he gets called for the flag?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not good coaching. Like, that part to me was like, good leadership is never. It's not criticizing your folks, especially for subjective stuff that's out of their control. What's in his control is, I won't get this false start penalty. Let's run our freaking play. What I don't like about Sirianni is it seems like there's no trust, and this is the most frustrating thing we used to say about Andy Reid. If you've got the studs, which they do on offense, they do have the studs on offense, then stop thinking about this crap and just run the goddamn ball. Your players will beat the other players. And if you don't do it on the first try, you'll do it on the second try. So that last bit, the lack of trust.
Where's the money on this offense, right? It's in the offensive line. Now, it is in the wide receivers too, but it's on the offensive line. And now the running back, we got the most. We finally put a lot of money into the running back position. Use it.
Use it.
Use it. Perfect example. Perfect timing to use that.
Use it.
Run behind your hogs with one of the best backs in the league and end the game.
And when you don't do that as a coach, then what are you saying to the players? I would rather hear as a player, Coach, we can do this. Give it to us. We will win this freaking game. We'll maul them off the field. Instead, he says, nope, that's what they're expecting us to do. So we're just going to pass. And I'm like, I keep going back. When I first started watching football, it was watching Bill Parcells and the 86 Giants with O.J. Anderson and Joe Morris. When they wanted a yard, they got a yard because they knew their offensive line will blow you off the field, and we will get a yard when we need it. And
didn't horse around.
No.
Just
Nope.
Mano y mano. We're going to run right at you.
We're going to run right at you. Time of possession wins the game. Running the ball wins the game. We'll throw it when we have to, and we can do that. But we're going to maul you. And the over-reliance on analytics and all this stuff drives me crazy because any football fan knows that football is a game of momentum. And when you've got it, you keep mashing.
Emotion.
Yeah, and just mash them and mash them and mash them. You know who gets that? The Saints. I'm not sure the Eagles get that, but the Saints got that. Anyways, that's my overall feeling. Yeah, that's my overall feeling on yesterday's game.
Yeah, your meme was perfect. Your meme made me laugh. Your meme made me laugh, and I had to laugh at the end of that game because I was so disappointed and frustrated. But your meme, what was it, the airplane?
I quoted airplane.
Yeah, it was the airplane.
Sir, should we turn on the runway lights? No. That's exactly what they'd be expecting
us to do.
It's like, turn on the lights.
That was perfectly said. So now getting back just a touch upon, because we're going to get to the Saints. We're going to talk about them thumbs up, thumbs down like we normally do in post game. The play call, this is what makes it debatable, at least, even though it's not the smartest thing to do. I think we agreed. We just talked about it. Debatable because that was a perfect play call.
Perfect.
In terms of all Saquon needed to do was catch the ball, and the game was over. And it was a perfect pass. It wasn't like the pass was off.
Yeah.
It was just, typical what happens usually when a back or wide receiver drops the ball. He took his eyes off it for half a second just to kind of see where he needs to go and drops the ball. And then that was, I still didn't think, and let me ask you this. I still didn't think that Atlanta was going to come back. Even after that, I'm like, man, obviously I was like, shoot, this gives them a chance. It gives them a chance. But I'm like, I still didn't see it happening. And then they had like a minute 40 to go, right? And with 40 seconds left, or 50 seconds left even, hardly any time went off. And they were at the 12-yard line all of a sudden. Then I was worried. Then I knew they were going to score, actually. Once they got down to the 12 with all the time left, I knew they were going to score then. But when Barkley first dropped the pass, I still didn't think they were going to lose.
No, I was surprised at how easily they moved it down the field. But if you drafted all these young cornerbacks to play, then play man-to-man. Don't play stupid prevent. Like the whole prevent defense thing. I think the fans have seen it for years. Where like, this does not win you games. It does not win. It doesn't even make it competitive. You're giving so much away. When all we want to see is, I don't mind losing, but make it competitive. You guys you just wave the white flag that entire minute and 40 seconds.
The Eagles' pass defense, other than the play up the middle that CJ screwed up, was playing well most of the game. That was the strength of the team.
It was.
They couldn't stop running the ball. They couldn't stop the run.
No, and you're not going to get
defense wise. They were doing okay at least.
They were, and you're not going to get burnt every time.
Right, they're not going to get 70-yard bomb. Yeah, they don't have Randy Moss on that team that's going to burn them deep.
No, but the law of averages says on the next time you call the blitz, you might get to Kirk Cousins because he ain't moving. We're not going to get burned every play. So
or you force them to speed up the throw or go to a shorter play than they were looking for. They're looking to go deep. You blitz somebody, he doesn't have time to go deep, right? So maybe he dumps it off.
Right, and then the clock runs.
So that
was ultra surprising to see them.
Clock's running.
Bold. They just wilted like a freaking dead flower. But that game's over.
Those are the games that are the toughest to deal with because you gave it away. That's a win you gave away, and it's a conference game you gave away. And much like I was praising the Eagles for having a big win versus Green Bay and a big conference game that could determine the seeding in the playoffs later in the season, this could be another one. Atlanta, who knows how they're going to be? Like you said, still kind of preseason until October. But what if Atlanta is one of those teams that wins their division and they're up for playoff seeding? Now they're going to get the tiebreaker if they have a tie with the Eagles at the end of the season. Yeah, which at this point could very well happen. It's all right. Let's
we'll have to focus on October and see where these teams are at. Because if you were to ask me right now, I think Green Bay is a better team, and we got the win versus Green Bay. We lost against a lesser team in Atlanta at home. At home.
Yeah,
and
home. So, real home.
We'll see what's happening in October, but there's a couple things they'll have to pay attention to from this game, and one of them is that pass rush has got to come from somewhere. If you don't have one by mid-October, you better buy one. And I don't know where you go to get that. Maybe
I don't know where you're going to buy one right now.
So that's all. Let's put it behind us.
All right. Well, give me some. Give me your thumbs up. Give me. I usually do three thumbs up, 3 thumbs down. If you don't have 3, that's fine. But give me some players that were. I don't know how many. If there was even 3 thumbs up players, well, there might have been. 3 thumbs up, 3 thumbs down from Monday night's game.
Look, minus
probably do about 10 thumbs down from Monday night's game.
Minus the RPO plays that result in a legal man downfield. Take that out. The Eagles' offensive line gets a thumbs up. And I wish they would just remove that from their entire thing. They don't need it. They have enough talent to just leave the RPO alone. If you're going to run the ball. Barkley will win. The offensive line will win. They will run the ball.
Right.
Stop the RPO. Take out those potential for flags right there. But the offensive line, if they wanted they could have been
quick out too. Wasn't it also happening on the quick out? Didn't it happen on the quick out to Covey also? Where they had the center was downfield.
And some of it is Jurgens learning the game and getting a lot of playing time. But this, like I said, it's preseason, it'll work itself out. But I thought the O-line overall could have just dominated that entire game if they wanted to. And so I would give a thumbs up to the O-line. The entire O-line played pretty darn well. Minus those flags for the RPO. And then I also thought a thumbs up for Booker, your guy on the defensive line.
Definitely. Yeah.
A thumbs up for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He had gotten beaten on that one play on the blitz where he stopped covering the route, but he also made that stick on the tackle, which every Eagles fan in the nation thought game is in pocket after that play.
Yeah, so, I did. That's what I thought ended the game. I agree.
Yeah, and a lot of energy on that.
That was a huge play by CJ against one of the best backs in the league, and it was him versus BJ, or Bijan rather. And man, did he stick him!
He stuck him hard.
That was great.
And he's a much bigger dude, and he stuck him right in his tracks. And then my final thumbs up would be Devontae Smith, who's always Mr. Consistency, and if you need him, he's going to be there and make a play.
Yeah.
Hurts would have been in that category, but I don't trust him when he's got to win the game because of that terrible, terrible pass play. With the interception. Yep.
Otherwise, I also think because now that we know Hurts' tendencies, Sirianni or what's his name there? The offensive coordinator. What's his name? Yeah, Kellen Moore. Either one of them or both need to get in Hurts' head during these drives late in the game and remind him, yo, play smart. Because he needs that reminder, obviously. And I'm thinking, so I'm blaming Hurts, and I'm blaming also Sirianni and Moore for not reminding him. Or if they are reminding him and he's still doing that, that's even a bigger deal. Yeah. My guess right now, or assumption would be, they're not saying, hey, play smart here. We got a timeout. Take it easy. If it's not there, don't force anything.
Right.
That's gotta be a bug in his ear right now, because otherwise you leave him doing his own thing and he's killing himself and he's killing the team.
It's as if when they watch tape, they're showing them tape of Carson Wentz playing hero ball. Scrap that. Show them tape of Joe Montana marching these chess pieces down the field, making accurate throws with 40 seconds left, 30 seconds left. Like, show them that. That's how you become a winner. Not these desperate.
Or show them what Kirk Cousins just did.
Yeah, well, it's easy when there's no defense on the field. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's my thumbs up. What do you got for thumbs up?
Thumbs up. You stole a couple of mine because there wasn't many thumbs up. Let's face it. Offensive line, I agree. Booker was definitely my other one, and my third was probably Devontae too. I'm trying to think. I even have another one. I was going to say CJ, but it's hard to me. He kind of balanced everything out because he was thumbs down prior to the great play that he made on 4th and 1. So he kind of ended up being even to me. I don't know if there is a third thumbs up. I would probably, again, like you, I would have given it to Hurts because I thought overall he played a good game. Except I can't let those go anymore. He does it too often now.
Yep.
Where when the game's on the line or the Eagles need a drive, he's too prone to force things. And he has thrown the most interceptions or the most turnovers. He has the most turnovers since the start of the last season in the NFL.
Yeah,
more turnovers than anyone in the league.
He reminds me of Brett Favre at his career. When Brett Favre was at the end of his career,
and he was just throwing
magical gunslinger, he'd just toss it up. He'd be like, "All right, we lost. Let's go home. Let's get on the plane." Yeah, I don't have any patience for this. I don't want to try that hard.
So I have a third thumbs up. I really don't. I mean, Barkley, same thing. I would have given him a thumbs up, and probably still overall. You can't kill the guy because he dropped the ball. Everyone's human. These guys aren't robots. It's going to happen every once in a while, although that was basically gift wrapped, handed right to him. It's not like he had to reach for it. He took it hard. He accepted that he let his team down and everything. But I would probably still give him.
He can get a
thumbs up with that key drop. I don't know if I have a third thumbs up.
Yeah, he was.
Probably give it to Devontae like you did.
He was like 60% of the offense, though.
Yeah, Covey played well too. Covey might be a thumbs up too. The plays that he had. One was called back. The one longest play that he had was called back. He caught everything that they threw to him.
Yes, he did. Yeah, it was impressive. I would say that would be a good thumbs up. Was Covey?
Yeah, I'll give it to Covey.
Yeah. Yep. Because you didn't hear anything from Jahan Dotson. You heard Covey.
Well, they didn't throw to him. They gave him one play.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you guys? What'd you bring him in here for? To give him one play? And so I give we're about to get into the thumbs down, and maybe I'll start in the thumbs down. So my thumbs down will be the coaching staff. Major thumbs down, and you can name any of them.
All sides.
Moore, Fangio, and Sirianni. All of the entire coaching staff. You definitely criticisms open for Sirianni on some of the. First of all, the first field goal that we should have taken the points. I know both of you and I are on the same page with that one. Ended up costing it. You even said it because Matt and I were texting each other in the game. Matt said it's going to end up costing the game. So you called that right off the bat. And yeah, I don't care if you're home and you've dominated them all the way down. You come up with nothing after a nice, successful drive. It's just a deflator, It's just a mental psyche. We talked about the importance of football. It's an emotional game. Emotion means a lot. If you have to keep the emotion high or else you get beat. That's why teams that can run the ball usually dominate, because it's an emotional factor. It just erodes the confidence of a defense if you can't stop the run. They get physically beaten and mentally exhausting and beaten. And once you do that in football more than any other sport, I'll even argue. And I really don't know if there's any other sport other than maybe boxing, where if you get punched in the mouth or an equivalent of football ran down your throat where you just can't stop them no matter what, you are emotionally beaten at that point.
That's 100%.
And that's where. What's that?
That's 100% it. The boxing analogy is a great one, because I was thinking about this today. If I were the Eagles coaches, I would rally him up if I were Sirianni this week. And I would say, look, there's only one chance we have to beat the Saints, but there's one objective we should focus on for the rest of the season. Our goal is not to win football games. Our goal is to gas the defense, because we have all the tools on offense to make sure that defense has zero energy in the fourth quarter. And it doesn't matter what the score is, we will be able to win that game in the fourth quarter no matter what else has happened, because that defense will be completely dismantled. And they've shown it. They've shown it every single time when they've run the ball with Barkley, and even Hurts. Like, Hurts had a good game running, right? If you get Hurts running and Barkley running, this team will be gassed. So just gas those defenses. So spend those first and second quarters making them tired. Come out in the third quarter and just mash them. Like Deuce Staley said years ago against the Cowboys, mash them, score. That's my – I was like, throw out the rest of the playbook. Don't overthink yourself. You've got the talent on the offensive line and at the receiver position when you need to throw it. And between Hurts and Barkley, just mash them. Their goal should be, we're going to mash this defense and make them tired every game. And we will be the victors when that happens.
I agree. Especially against a team like the Saints, where you don't want their offense the way they're playing right now.
I don't want their offense on the field. Nope. run the ball. Barkley
in a game like that.
Barkley should have 32 carries this week.
I think Barkley this game should have 30 carries, and Gainwell should probably have another 15.
I totally agree. Plus, Barkley's going to be pissed. He doesn't want to carry that drop on him forever. It's like, give me the ball. He'll probably have a 6-yard run.
Yeah, to have an edge on him this coming weekend, where he's going to want to prove himself and, make up for his mistake. Give him the rock. And when you give him a breather, run game well. Occasionally pass it, just keep the defense honest every once in a while. But you don't have A.J. Brown anyway, so run. Even if you're trailing by 10 points, keep running.
Yeah, and don't out yourself. To get back to your thumbs down for the coaches, stop overthinking this stuff. Trust that Howie put the beef right in front of you, so just run the beef. I don't care if they know the run is coming. I don't care if they know the pass is coming. We've got the talent. Just execute. Just execute. Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, all of them would just say, execute the play. Don't worry about outthinking. Just execute. And that's where Sirianni gets a little bit. Just play football. That's all you got to do. Play football. Line up and play football.
Yeah.
What's your second thumbs down?
My second thumbs down would be Jordan Davis, and I might even group Carter in there together, the two of them, because I know who my third thumbs down is. We already talked about him early, but I would give. I mean, maybe I'll just say the entire defensive line. I'll put it that way. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll group up the entire defensive line, thumbs down, which is ridiculous and completely unacceptable. By the way, completely unacceptable for the entire defensive line to be a thumbs down. It's not like they did it. Usually, if you see that, it's because of penalties. Late flag or
or penalized.
For fouls or something like that. No, this was just because they stunk. Thumbs down, the whole entire line. And my third thumbs down was going to be Huff, clearly. And here's a guy that I feel like a complete jackass for, because you remember the pregame show, I said he was my guy that was going to be the zero. He was going to, and here's the thing, and I will not, what's the word I'm trying to think of, compromise that pick every week going forward. Because what I did this past week was I really didn't think that Huff was going to have this great game, even though I said it. So it's going to come across as like being totally artificial, if not lying. It wasn't lying. I guess what I was trying to do with that pick was to just speak it into existence that we'd finally see Huff do something. And so going forward, when I make that pick of the week where I think he's going to be this will be the key impact guy, I'm not going to sit there and do something like that again. It'll be somebody who I legitimately think is going to be a key factor in a game. I didn't do that this past one. I just was trying to hope upon hopeless hope that we would see something out of Huff. And we saw even a worse performance. I mean, the guy has been someone, I think it was one of the Philadelphia guys in the media this week said he wasn't even in the, like when they did rewatch the game, he often wasn't even in the frame of the play. So it's like, if he's that much of a non-factor, we might have a serious problem here. Now, there was one play I want to see, because we didn't text each other about it, but I noticed it. I didn't say anything. I didn't text you about it, but I definitely saw it, and they pointed out this week through the media, which I'm glad they saw it, because I don't know how you couldn't, because they actually, even on the replay, it was like a run to the right, I believe. Yeah, it was a run to the right, and you see Huff trailing the play by like 10 yards, as usual, and he's like adjusting and fixing his helmet as he's running after the running back. I'm like, you did
you care, and it wasn't like it was like
no, it wasn't coming off.
It was just slightly off, and he's like, "Let me fix that instead of tackling this guy." I know.
Yeah, he's like fixing his helmet while he's pursuing the running back. I'm like, I've never seen a player ever do that in all of my years of watching football.
Yeah,
and that was like, man, red flags went flying for me when I saw that. I'm like, holy cow! Yeah, this guy is a disaster right now.
Hopefully, they review that on the tape and say, like, dude, you were paid to do bigger things than just fix your helmet on a, because he could have, there was like no hustle there, I don't know. Like, I totally agree with that. The one thing with the whole defensive line is I did think Booker played well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I should have said that, with the exception of Booker and Milton Williams, of course. We always praise Milton Williams because the guy, whether he's playing end or tackle, is always busting his ass in there.
Yep, he's an impact player. So is Booker. I don't think Jordan Davis has a very long career here left with the Eagles. I don't see them picking up their option unless they see a distinct difference. I don't
see them right now either.
No, I don't.
You're going to have to give the money to.
I don't recall seeing him even on the field in the second half of Monday night's game. So, and I saw
You said that
Booker
a couple times now, and I can't say definitively that he was on there either. But again, even when he was on there, I didn't notice him. So,
didn't notice him.
so maybe that's true. Maybe I'd have to go back and look. I didn't rewatch the game,
Yeah,
but that might be true. I mean, did you notice? Can you definitively say that you noticed that he wasn't on the field the whole second half?
I was just for him. No, I was looking for him, and I didn't see him on the field. So,
wow.
And I don't know at what point in the second half, but
well, I'm glad they yanked him. If they yanked him out of the game, I'm glad they did.
Yeah, and that's where I trust Fangio, and I do say like all of this is the caveat to all this is it's preseason. Fangio will not mess around with who can play and who can't, and by the time we get to October, he will have the right guys on the field. The problem is defensive tackle, you've got options. And at edge rusher, Brandon Graham right now is like our best pass rusher. And he's, seasons 12, 13.
He is right now. I mean, Sweat played okay. He was at least doing well in the run game.
Yeah,
the only one stopped the run.
All those guys seem to miss the number one bona fide stud pass rusher guy, right? And God, they better find somebody that's able to fill that role. Or you've got to let these young cornerbacks play and come up with some creative blitzes and start looking at old Pittsburgh Steelers 3-4 defenses where, Ike Taylor would blitz from the cornerback position and start getting those plays going because they cannot live against NFL quarterbacks. I mean, Kirk Cousins couldn't move. Like all the people that have been criticizing him saying he's not ready to play back. Yeah, he can't move, but he can throw.
Right, and it's ironic that you mentioned the Steelers because in week 1, the Steelers got a ton of pressure against Atlanta.
Yeah, and here we are with just nobody. So they better figure that one out quick. I don't think they're going to get figured out in a week's time. I think they're going to get embarrassed against the Saints. But man, if they're able to switch,
now get the Saints. What are your 3 thumbs down?
Thumbs down. Thumbs down on Slay. You can't give up a touchdown that easy. I don't care if you're a rookie, maybe, but you're Darius
in that critical spot. I agree.
Yeah, like unacceptable, really. So there's a thumbs down for Slay. I agree. I'll put a double thumbs down. Where's my camera? Boink on the coaches. They just seem to make bad decisions all over the field. They seem to be in the way of the win, didn't they? Like if you just let the players play, we should have handled that game, but they seem to be in the way of victory. So the coach got to take a thumbs down. And then probably number 3 was I want to go back to the offense, but I'm like, how is it that this might be the play calling, but I'm like, how is Goddard not more involved in this?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
I guess that's back. It's not necessarily on Goddard, but
I don't think it's Goddard either. I just don't think they're going to.
No, I'm like, he's got to be open on some of these plays. He's been open. His only criticism in his career so far has been he's injury prone. He misses quite a few games. But I'm like, how do you not help out Smith? Like, I thought their passing game would have been better. They clearly wanted to get the ball to Covey. But I'm like, but Goddard is usually a beast with the ball in his hands. So Covey will get you the 3 or 4 yards on these bubble screens and stuff. But where is the pass over the middle? How many times did they go over the middle? It seemed like hardly ever.
You know, I haven't rewatched the game like I try to typically do before I give like my midweek podcast. I haven't done it this week, just haven't had time. But that's something when I do rewatch the game, I'm going to look for. I'm going to look to see if there was some guys open over the middle because it looks like they completely ignored it. And Goddard in particular, like on these plays they went to Covey, maybe they were totally designed only for Covey. But I want to see these pass plays just in general when Hurts is dropping back looking to see if Goddard was open because why do you not use him when you don't have Brown especially?
In the passing game, it seemed like Jalen Hurts had plenty of time. So Kellen Moore's offense is like a timing offense too. So like, why isn't Hurts throwing the ball in time? Like his back foot is hitting. I want to see the ball coming out, and it seems like he's not throwing it. And I'm like, you can't tell me that the Eagles don't have the talent to get open, even without Brown. You cannot tell me that.
To your point,
delivered at that point.
To your point, some of the people that have seen, some of the guys we trust, like Rubin, some of these guys. Inside the Birds, another shout out to them, who I watch their podcast, with Geoff Mosher and Adam Kaplan. These guys have looked at the tape and we watched the game, and they're like, there are plays that Hurts has got guys open and he's not pushing the button. He's not throwing it to him.
No, and you saw that because he's got great protection and he starts to dance around, and it's like, come on. One thing he did better was it seemed like he was aware of not wanting to scramble right all the time. Like
he did.
Right.
I agree.
So I'm like, at least he's learning there. But yeah. I felt like the offense should have been better than what they were, even without Brown. That was one thought. And my last thumbs down is just
I agree.
Jordan Davis. Like Jordan Davis, as high as he was drafted 2 years ago, like that dude should be at least present. And it doesn't even seem like he's present. So that's leaning towards Buck.
Against the run, especially. I mean, he's the one that's supposed to be clogging up the middle with the run. And they were gashing the hell out of the Eagles.
Back. Yep.
So it's like, and that's when he was in the game.
No. And that's my final.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy who has dodged both of our thumbs down, but I don't think it's going to happen much longer, is Jalen Carter. Because this guy, we're really banking on a lot. We know his potential, but through 2 weeks now, he's been pretty much a non-factor as well. So I'm going to keep my eye on him with a more critical eye going forward, because we need to start seeing, like I said, I was putting a pause button on all these Eagle fans calling him the next Jerome Brown. Now, I did say he reminds me of Jerome Brown in college. When I saw his college tape, he does have that potential, but some Eagle fans are already calling him Jerome Brown, and I'm like, no. And right now, this is why I put the pause button on him, because Jerome Brown was very consistently dominant. And right now, we haven't seen Carter be dominant really since the middle part of last season. So, I'm sure he's getting double teamed and much more attention because he's, people know his ability. And maybe that's another reason why Jordan Davis needs to start doing something, because they're double teaming Brown more. But either way, Carter's got to step up, man. He's got to step up.
I think with Booker gaining more playing time, I think you'll see Carter come alive a little bit, because I think their best option right now is Booker and Carter next to each other in the middle.
Yeah.
No matter if it's run or pass. Like Davis gets pushed back on the run and he can't get to the quarterback. So I think you've got to get Booker. Booker's an impact player, and Carter, even though he hasn't done much yet, he's an impact player because he's getting double teamed probably on every play. So
yeah,
get Booker out there, get some havoc causers on that defensive line, and get these. I don't care how much they're getting paid. Like, if you can't sniff the quarterback, you got to go. So, I don't know how he would deal with that. If Howie can get rid of a quarterback, then he can find a way to get rid of a bad pass rushing deal too.
You know what I noticed just on a sidebar conversation is, and I did notice it, but I didn't really think much of it, believe it or not, even though it was as odd as it was. It just didn't really kind of dawn on me. But I think it was a guy who called into to one of the Philly stations this week, said, "Hey, did you see Howie on the sideline standing like right next to Nick late in the game?" And I'm like, and it kind of brought me back. I'm like, yeah, I do remember Howie standing right next to Nick on the sidelines late in the game. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. So that was kind of odd. I don't know what to even make of it. Maybe it's nothing. But did you see that when they showed, the Eagles late in the game on the sideline when they had those sideline shots? Howie's standing like a little bit behind, but right next to Nick. Like a little behind, but right there.
Yeah, I didn't see it. If it depends on how late in the game. I'm sure Howie came down because he expected that the Eagles were winning after that C.J. Gardner-Johnson tackle. And then
I think it was late in the game.
Yes. Yeah. I'd be curious to know if he was down there after that tackle or before it, because, like I said, every Eagles fan.
Yeah, I think it was late in the game.
After that tackle.
It definitely wasn't like the beginning of the game or anything like that. It was definitely later in the game and probably really late in the game. But it was still kind of weird to see him like right there. But anyway, it's probably much ado about nothing, but it was still kind of weird. And the guy mentioned it on one of the shows I was listening to. All right,
wouldn't it be nice if Howie leaned over to Bryce Huff at that point and was like, "Hey, you might want to start doing, like." Who knows why Howie's down there? But who knows? I don't know. It's all speculation.
He could have said something. He's kind of a wise ass too.
He is.
Yeah, he's kind of a wise ass too. So maybe he would say something like, "Yo, dude, I know you wear the number 0, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to give us nothing."
Yeah. Howie will, if you press his buttons, he's going to press them back. And by not producing, you're going to press Howie's buttons. So who knows? We'll find out. And like I said, all of this is still preseason football. If we're still talking about these types of things, because they haven't been corrected come October 10th, 13th. I think 13th is their game against the Browns.
It's your birthday.
Yeah, then we have
It's your birthday, yeah.
So let's revisit this October 13th week. Let's revisit.
Yeah, it'd be a perfect week because I think there's a bye week after that. So that'll be the perfect time. They have a week 5 bye. So
let's see where we're at.
2 weeks to talk about where this team's at,
Yeah, because right now it's time to be concerned. But by that time, it'll be time to kind of panic of like, oh boy, all these hopes that were.
Well, let's think about it, right? I know we're talking about the Saints in a second. They're 1-1 right now. They got to play the Saints down in New Orleans, which they never beat the Saints down there, even when the Saints are bad.
No.
And then they got to play right now. Also, could potentially be a 3-0 Bucks team on the road in Week 4. So right now, the Eagles, especially where they're playing right now, they're looking at potentially being 1-3 heading into the bye.
Boy, isn't that different from what we predicted? Oh boy,
Yeah, it is very different. Actually, you predicted them to lose to the Saints next week. By the way,
yeah,
I did not, and I even said I think when we were doing our predictions that it's another stupid pick by me where I'm like I'm just going to go as an optimist and pick the Eagles to finally beat the Saints. I tell you right now, I have zero flatline confidence that the Eagles will win this weekend.
Well, if they run the ball, they have a chance.
Let's talk about the Saints.
Yep. Go ahead. Keys.
Go ahead.
Well,
I just kind of gave up. I gave you my summary right now. I don't think the Eagles win this game. In fact, I think, unless the Eagles do what we're talking about, but I don't have confidence to do that, right? If I knew that the Eagles were just going to go and run the ball down their throats this coming Sunday, I would say this would be a much closer game than I'm expecting it to be. But I think the Eagles lose by 2 touchdowns.
Well, yeah. I was going to say 20. They might be done by 20 points. They're going to have to play ball control on offense and really have about, I don't know, at the end of the game, if they've got 36 minutes of time of possession or more, the Eagles probably win. And if they can't do that, if they can't keep long drives sustained, if they don't spread the ball around and run the ball and get that defense tired out, because the defense is good. Everyone's focused on the offense of the Saints, but their defense isn't letting anybody score either. So this could be a mash 'em up game, and then the press will really be on the Eagles after that game.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's good about
the only chance they run the ball.
Yeah, at least the only saving grace will be, well, the Saints have done this to every team they've played so far. But if they can't get some pass rush on Carr, then it'll be a worse outcome than what they had with no pass rush on Cousins, because Carr can actually move. So,
right. And do you have any faith right now, especially after watching this game and really even the Green Bay game? They didn't get a lot of pressure on Love either. No. Here's another stat. I'm glad I almost forgot. I mentioned it in my game. But Reuben Frank, who's great at these historical stats, this is mind-blowing. Wait till I tell you this, because I was like, I couldn't believe what I heard. He said that the Eagles have not had a sack by one of their edge rushers in 6 consecutive games.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That is beyond terrible.
Yeah, and it's
not like one sack in 6 games by an edge rusher.
Yeah, and we're how many years away from that John Gannon defense that had the most sacks in NFL in the Eagles history, right? When we had Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, all these guys, Hassan Reddick, all these guys with like double-digit sacks or close to double-digit sacks, and people were afraid of defense. So you got, we're only a couple years removed from that, and yet we have nobody except Brandon Graham that can occasionally get a pressure.
6 straight games.
Yeah. Well,
and that's Graham would have got a sack Monday night. He did have a sack, but somebody was on. I can't remember what the penalty was, but there was a penalty on the play.
Yeah, that's what happens when you
defensive holding.
That's what happens when you have 0 pressures from your number 1 sack free agent guy. The pass rushing special is tough. So that as much as we've praised Howie, let's see how this one turns out. Howie's due for some criticism on this one because
right now,
in house, you know.
Yeah, right now, things could be. Listen, Howie's been getting a lot of praise, and me and you praised him as well. So if it ends up turning bad, we can't sit there and criticize Howie because of these picks that he made. We'll have to go down with the ship with him because we're not going to be hypocrites, right? We liked the Jordan Davis pick. Right. We liked the Nakobe Dean pick. We liked the Huff move initially, you know. So we liked these moves, but man, all three, because Dean didn't play well again. He was smoked on a couple of plays. One play, I think I texted you on it. There was one of those big gains by Bijan Robinson, where if he took the right gap, he would have met him just like CJ did.
Yeah.
But he's running through this gap, and the Kobe Dean goes over to the other gap, right in front of the running back. I'm like, dude, are you not paying attention where the running back's going, dude? Why are you going this way when the running back's going? I mean, he totally went over here. And I'm like, dude, what? You have zero awareness? So, which sucks. I hate ripping Dean because I had the kid number one from him, man. It's probably still too early to say that he's going to be a bust, but man, he's got to really start showing consistency. He's shown bursts of some better play, but overall, he's still not been living up. And Smith has been forget about Smith. He looks like a complete bust of a first-round pick.
Useless. Nolan Smith looks like Adonis and plays like
And we were both happy about that pick too. So we're not going to be hypocrites.
Yeah, I was
thrilled. Not
hypocrites. And he's an athlete.
But we're going to go down with Howie. And Howie, it's not our job, right? It's Howie's job. We agreed with what he did, but
yeah. Looks like you're frozen a little bit there, or I'm frozen.
Spinning here. I don't know. Hopefully we're back.
There we go.
Might be a Wi-Fi issue. Anyway, what I was saying is that's 4. Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis,
Owen Smith,
and then Huff, the Huff acquisition.
Yep. Looking pretty bad so far.
And I guess you can add in there along with that is letting Reddick go. Those are 4 huge potential mistakes on Howie that might be on the horizon.
Yep. We'll see what happens. Like I said, preseason football, but if we're still talking about this stuff come second week of October, then there's issues.
I agree.
Issues.
All right, so give me because we probably won't have you on before the Saints game. So give me your keys. We kind of talked about them, but give me if you have 3 keys to victory, give me 3. One of them we talked about, running the ball. Maybe that's all 3. It might be 1, 2, and 3. But give me a couple extras, a couple other keys.
Run the ball, but it's ball control offense, which means step 1, run the ball. Step 2, when we're throwing it, like where are the other players? Don't just focus on Covey. Like Hurts to me just seems to get locked in with saying, I'm going to get Covey the ball. I'm going to get Brown the ball. I'm going to get Smith the ball. Like, just throw it to the play that's open, please. Like, he seems to be overly focused on 1 or 2 guys before the ball ever gets snapped. And there's a lot of talent there, so oftentimes he can
spread the ball around. Spread the ball.
Throw it. Yeah. I should see 4 to 5 passes to Goddard. I should see 4 or 5 passes to Smith. 4 or 5 passes to Dotson, 4 or 5 passes to Covey. Like, just keep spreading the ball around. More passes. Where's the screen game with Barkley? You know, maybe if you threw more screen passes.
2 games. I haven't seen it once.
The last ball. So ball control offense, and however you make that look, that's what has to happen. Because if the Saints get 4 possessions a quarter, this game's over. They might score 60 points. So the other,
here I am last week on social media ranting on the Cowboy fans because they were getting totally blown out. And now it looks like and they have every right. If the Eagles get their ass whooped this week, they're going to come after me, and I deserve it. But man, I was all over the Cowboys last week getting smoked.
I'm hoping the Eagles.
And now it looks like, and it wouldn't surprise me at all back this week.
No, I hope they come out angry. And
what we got to hope for is that the Saints come down to, they come down to earth a little bit, because I don't think anybody believes the Saints are that good. I mean, they're not going to average 40 points a game the rest of the season. So they're going to come down a little bit at some point. I don't know if it's going to be against this defense. If you can't get any pass rush on this guy, he could play quarterback. You just had Cousins tear us apart when we couldn't get any, pass protection. And on the last,
You have to defend.
Series. And Carr can play. Carr has shown that he could be even a little bit above average good quarterback. He had a couple good years with the Raiders.
Yeah.
He's not, but he's at least an average quarterback, and he can play above average at times. Right now, he's playing out of this world, but he's going to come down. We got to hope it's this week. I don't know what tricks up the sleeve that Fangio has, but he's got to do something. He's got to create pressure. If we can't get it up front, like you said, Cooper DeJean, he's now 3 weeks removed from his injury. Get him in there, if not just to be a blitzer. We got to get pressure. Whether or not we can't get it on the up front, we got to get it from safeties. We got to get it from the corners or whatever.
I would rather see them
linebackers.
I would rather see them attempt blitzes and try to get pressure. And then if we lose that way, I'm fine with it. Sitting back and watching this non-pass rush occur is just frustrating. So, and whether or not they can make enough plays there, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes, but just try. Don't go down without a whimper. That's unacceptable in Philadelphia Eagles land. So try. Blitz the shit out of them. Every play if you gotta. And just show them that you're on the field trying. That's all we want to see. And then pair that with ball control offense, and maybe we have a shot. Maybe it comes down to a late Jake Elliott field goal if the luckiest of lucky happens. But I still think I agree with you. 2 scores at minimum would be the loss here.
Yeah, I never like to pick against the Eagles, but you're going to get the real. Like I've always said, you're going to get the real opinions on here. We're not going to be waving Eagle pom-poms all the time, especially if they don't deserve it. And right now they certainly don't deserve it. And we're going to have a realistic, view on these games. And I don't think anyone could be confidently saying we all hope the Eagles win. But is anyone going to this game? Any Eagle fan out there going into this game with confidence that they're going to win this game?
Right, saying we can stop Carr, we can stop.
If they are, comment below and let us know.
Yeah, can we
hear from you?
Mara? No, we haven't proven anything yet. So let's see. Let's see. If it's preseason, I saw Danny Werfel with the Redskins offense years ago throw 1 million touchdowns in preseason, and when the season started, not quite there. So let's see. These teams will figure them. The teams that have come out on fire probably going to settle down. The teams that have come out and struggled probably going to get a little bit better. But we'll see.
Yeah. I agree. Does anybody think the Ravens are going to have a bad season and they're 0-2 right now? I don't think so.
No.
I fully expect them to.
I think they're going to be angry against the Cowboys. and
they're going to be playing the Cowboys, things are not getting easier for them. They're now having to play a really ticked off Ravens team. So that's good for us because, more than likely, I think the Eagles are going to lose this week. So, we need the Cowboys to lose.
Yeah. And like you said, we got the Buccaneers right after that. So that's 2 tough games in a row.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where our actual score prediction was. I was trying to find where our actual score prediction was from last week, but I can't find it. Anyway, it's on tape somewhere. All right, so final thoughts. Because we talked about the only key. Is there any other keys to the game before I jump ahead here?
Out of the way. Coaches stay out of the way of a victory or a competitive game, right? Don't overthink it. Just go use your studs and just rely on them to win this game, and that's it. Stay out of the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think we hit it. I think ball control, offense, we run the ball, control the clock, keep the offenses off the field as much as possible for the Saints. Second is to create pressure somehow. We're not getting up front again. Blitz, somehow we got to get to the quarterback. We got to at least make them rush the play and not sit back there and, throw deep and just pick apart the Eagles. And maybe the third, which is always a key we haven't talked about yet, is just create turnovers. Somebody make a play. Somebody pick Carr off and, pick 6 or maybe. Somebody do something. We're going to need turnovers to win this game. So that's my 3 keys to the game. And that's our 3, I guess, collective 3 keys game. So let's go. And before we wrap it up, let's get the predictions down on paper. So give me a final score prediction.
I see the Saints scoring at least 40 points again. 42 to 24. That's really high scoring.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it surprised anybody. They just put 40 on Dallas's defense. Do we think our defense is better than Dallas's right now?
Nope.
I don't. Dallas can at least pressure the quarterback.
Yep.
And they did that on the road against the Cowboys, not at home. So, I mean, I picked the Eagles to win this game when we did our preseason. Now that looks like a laughable pick. That's already a lot. I mean, maybe the Eagles will surprise us. They just surprised us by losing to the Falcons. So maybe they have a makeup game in them. I don't know. I think they're going to have to create turnovers, like we said. So I like your score a lot. I'm right around there. That's a good score. That's a good score.
Don't you think we need like 2 turnovers to win this game, though? Like I feel like we would need.
I just mentioned turnovers. Yeah, it may take 2, but I think we got to score off 1. Like if we get 1, I think it's got to be a pick 6, or
off both.
At least 1 that we get a touchdown off of.
Yeah.
Both. I mean, if I had faith that the Eagles would actually stick to the run, I would bring the score down from 42 that you're at. But I don't think you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have faith that they'll stick to the run. So I think that the Saints might hit 40 also. I think just to be a little different from you, because I'm right around there. Honestly, I'm right around your score. I'll go 38 to 16.
Yeah. So the difference is still there, right? The gap.
Yeah. I'm knocking basically a touchdown off the Eagles and a touchdown off of the, a little less than a touchdown off of the Saints. Maybe I'll go 35-16. I'll do that. 35-16. Basically, we have the same score. I'm just knocking off the score for each team. But the spread's the same, essentially.
Right.
So, I don't know.
What time's that game?
We are. Like I said, don't mean to be Debbie Downer. We're going to be realistic and give you what we really think.
I don't think.
I don't see this being a competitive game, unfortunately. I just don't.
No.
Hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm 100% wrong. I want to come on here on our post game and be completely surprised, other than shocked and stunned, frustrated like Monday night.
Yeah, I'd love to see Huff with a sack or 2 and Nolan Smith with a sack. How about from anybody? That'd be great. Fantastic.
All right. Well, speaking of that, because I blew the Huff call last week, and I told you, I promised everyone I will not just go with some kind of just throwing it out there, speaking to existence type of pick. It'll be a legitimate pick. So, Matt, your key player to the game, key impact player, if the Eagles are to win.
It has to be Barkley. It's Barkley. 100%.
Yep, because running the ball makes sense. All right. And my impact player, I'll go with Hurts. So I think you say either like be Hurts with a great game or Barkley with a great game, or both to win this game. More likely both. I'll take Hurts. Hurts needs to play very well. I think he will. I still don't think it'll be enough to win. But I'll go Hurts. I think Barkley's a good pick. I didn't want to duplicate yours by saying Barkley also. I think that's based on what we just said. He needs to be the key player because we want to run the ball. So I think when they don't run the ball, Hurts just needs to protect the ball, hit the open guy, spread the ball around. I'll go with Hurts. If AJ was playing, I'd probably go AJ too, but Hurts just needs to play smart. Keep this. If it's a close game, don't force things.
No, but also throw the freaking slant when it's there instead of like hitting your back foot and then you got all the protection in the world, but you seem to not be able to find anybody and then you scramble. Like, throw the ball. Like, have confidence. He can do it. We've seen him do it.
Yeah.
Throw the ball.
It'll be a tough environment. This is a tough environment. And, it's always tough to beat the Saints down there anyway. The crowd is loud. They're going to be even more louder. They have all the, they're getting all this praise right now, which they deserve. They blew out the Cowboys. They're playing extremely well. They deserve to be hyped up down there, but that dome is hard to play in even when they're not, playing well. They're going to be jacked up for this game. And that's why I'm also putting the onus on Hurts, because it's going to be a tough environment to play in. It's not going to be a fun day at the park for Hurts. He's got to communicate with the line because it's going to be so freaking loud. So Hurts has got to really step up. So if the Eagles are going to win, I think it's going to be on Hurts. You already mentioned Barkley. To me, that's a great pick. Both of those guys need to have a big game. And we probably should say the defense. But here's the thing. Because we're both don't have confidence in the defense, neither one of us picked the defensive player or the defense in general. So that's why we're not picking the Eagles to win.
No, defense
I just
isn't
don't
working.
see, even if the Eagles play well offensively, I still don't think they're going to win.
No, we agree, right? Hurts could throw for 3 touchdowns. Barkley can run for 1 or 2, and they still might lose that game.
Yeah.
With the time of possession, Saints might be on the field for 5 freaking plays on offense every time they get the ball, and they might get points on every friggin' time.
They might.
We'll see. Hopefully not.
Yeah, the key is to get pressure, and if they need to somehow get pressure, whether it's somebody they might. I'm hoping behind the scenes in any these meetings and team meetings and everything else that they are all over this defensive line. They should be hearing it every day how much they sucked on Monday night, and they should come out pissed off on Sunday. They really should.
Yeah,
I mean it's embarrassing how bad they were.
Yeah.
0 pressure against a statue. No pressure at home. No pressure.
No.
I mean, and 6 straight games without an edge sack. That stuff is historically bad.
Not gonna.
And needs a change. Needs a change fast. Because you're looking at 1-2 if they lose this game, and then you're going into Tampa, who's playing well. I'm not sure who they play this week, but let's just say Tampa's 3-0. Eagles got to go run to play another undefeated team next week before their bye. Tell you what, we always like, holy cow, I hate having a bye week 5. It may be a blessing to have week 5 bye this year because they might be 1-3 heading into the bye, and they have 2 weeks to get their shit together.
You might be able to trade for some. Who knows?
Man, I don't know. I hate to be like this Debbie Downer type podcast, but
well,
we're going to give it to you real. That's what Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff is going to give you. Like I said, at some point, if Matt keeps joining us every week, I may have to change this to a different name. But Matt's been sticking with us at least once a week now, and appreciate that. So, Matt, thanks again. I know you're kind of a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to let you go. But thanks for sticking it out. You have any closing comments?
Go Birds.
We wrap this up.
Look, go Birds. Show up and play your best. No, don't be fixing your helmet running after a tackle. Let's at least fix that, right? So
we see that again,
everybody, and let's go get a surprise W, right?
That's right. Listen, we may be picking against the Eagles, but we certainly are rooting for them 100%, 110% every time they play. So with that being said, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment below. Let us know your thoughts on the game. Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? Is there other keys of the game that you guys are thinking about that maybe we didn't? Please share it below. And again, make sure you subscribe as we build this thing together. We'll have some future live streams, once we build enough big enough audience. So we only can do that as we build the subscription list. So make sure you hit that subscribe. Matt, thanks again. Fly, Eagles, fly. Until next time, go Birds. Catch y'all later.